Straight ahead on CCX News, a Maple Grove girl with Olympic aspirations goes to Lake Placid to try luge. Plus,
it shows off what Minnesota's about.
Another winter sport brings world-class athletes to Golden Valley in 2020. But first, a week-long blast of bitter cold moves in. But will it cancel school? We'll explain how school districts decide on CCX News, starting right now. Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us. The Twin Cities are feeling the wrath of old man winter. Below zero temperatures combined with gusty winds created wind chills Friday morning of 15 to 20 degrees below zero. And experts say the bitter cold will continue through next week. But as Delane Cleveland reports, don't expect this string of cold weather to result in any local school closures.
The deep freeze has made its way to the Twin Cities. Meteorologists say temperatures will be well below zero for a good chunk of the next week, which means that Minnesotans have to bundle up. But if you're expecting school to be canceled during this cold spell, officials from the Osseo Area School District say don't keep your hopes up too high.
We are not at this time considering canceling school in the foreseeable future.
That's at least true for now, but district spokesperson Barb Olson says the decision to close schools usually happens the morning of.
Typically, we would make the decision very early in the morning so that we could communicate with families around 6 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 to 6.
How they come to that decision about whether to have kids brave the elements to get to class depends on a number of different factors.
Certainly, we're considering the weather forecast, the road conditions, safety of bus stops, the performance of our school buses, and we also consider the risk of students staying at home in families where backup childcare is not available during the day.
In other words, it's an inexact science. Even if the wind chill hits negative 35, the district policy is that school may be canceled, but it's not clear-cut, in large part because canceling school can be disruptive to families.
We take it situation by situation to make the best decision we possibly can.
The decision to keep schools open often raises concerns about children freezing at the bus stop. In that situation, Osseo has an app called My Osseo Bus that informs parents about delays in bus transportation.
So we recommend a couple things. Inform yourself by following the My Osseo Bus app and dress your child appropriately for the weather. Hats, boots, mittens, lots of layers will help.
Ultimately, as many Minnesotans can attest, there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing choices. In Maple Grove, Delane Cleveland, CCX News.
School districts urge parents to make sure they provide the most up-to-date contact information to the district. And if districts decide to cancel school, parents are notified through phone calls and emails. The bitter cold can also cause big problems at home, especially if water pipes freeze. Most pipe problems originate outside of the house.
This is your standard residential water meter. The copper will come out of the basement and comes into our water meter, and then from here it feeds the rest of the house.
The Golden Valley Public Works Department hasn't experienced any pipe freezing issues just yet, and they want to keep it that way. Experts say most of the property service lines in the city will not freeze because they are buried deep in the ground, about 7 to 8 feet below ground. However, if ground frost gets close to 6 or 7 feet, there could be issues. Officials have this advice for homeowners.
Make sure that, if you notice your cold water is getting really cold, if you have a thermometer, check if it's getting down to 32.5, 33 degrees. Maybe leave your cold water run just at a little stream about a pencil's width.
Running water will cause your utility bill to go slightly up. Right now, the city of Golden Valley isn't telling residents to do this. However, if you've had problems in the past, you might want to err on the side of caution. Despite the cold of this Friday morning, one of the newest and most successful 2019 attractions, Topgolf in Brooklyn Center, was in full swing.
Topgolf is an asset because it draws a lot of people to the area who don't know about this part of town. There are always cars here. It's always busy, and that's a wonderful thing.
Members of the Minneapolis Northwest Tourism Group paid a visit to Topgolf Friday morning to spread the news of tourism in the Northwest Metro. They say leisure attractions and activities make up 71% of visitors to the metro area, the rest being business travelers. It adds up to millions of dollars in revenue, which is why Minneapolis Northwest Tourism says they have an important story to tell.
All we are is storytellers and marketers. So we want to let people know that Minneapolis Northwest is a great place.
And you can check out the Minneapolis Northwest Tourism website and blog for more information about new attractions and openings in 2019. Super Bowl 52, the Ryder Cup, the Final Four. Now another big event will bring elite athletes to the Twin Cities, and this time it's world-class cross-country skiers.
But the thing that really is exciting about this and why Explore Minnesota is so glad to be able to support this event, it's promoting an activity and an event that people can do in every single part of the state.
For the first time in 18 years, the Cross Country World Cup will be back in the U.S., and in March of 2020, it will be at Theodore Wirth Park in Golden Valley. The event will be called the Parallel 45 Winter Festival. Parallel is a tribute to cross-country skis, and the name fits too because the 45th parallel runs right through Theodore Wirth Park. Organizers are excited that all eyes will once again be on Minnesota.
It shows off what Minnesota's about, the types of things that we can do, we can pull off. It also shows where we're willing to invest and what type of atmosphere it is here in the state of Minnesota and in the Twin Cities and right here in Golden Valley.
Organizers tip their hat to Minnesota's Jesse Diggins, who won the gold medal in cross-country skiing at the last Olympics, for helping bring the World Cup to Minnesota in 2020. A Maple Grove City Council member says a new apartment complex is just what the city needs. A no-frills apartment that's simple, clean, and affordable. The Fernbrook View Apartments will go up at the northwest corner of Fernbrook Lane and County Road 81. It will have 42 units. Construction could begin as early as this summer. It won't have amenities like swimming pools or workout rooms that typically drive up rent, but pedestrians will have access from the complex to the Elm Creek Park Reserve. City Council members expressed concerns about traffic before passing this proposal. City staff have connected with Hennepin County on how to accommodate traffic with growth in this part of the city and in nearby Dayton. Still ahead on CCX News, how the journey to the Olympics can begin in a Maple Grove backyard. Plus, Wayzata and Hopkins face off in a Lake Conference gymnastics meet. That story later in sports. But first, the temperatures may get up to 12 this weekend before we plunge into a deep freeze. Two local girls got the chance of a lifetime this month. They got to go to Lake Placid to train in the sport of luge and then try out for a developmental Olympic training program. Thursday evenings mean basketball practice at Maple Grove Middle School for 12-year-old Michaela Rivers. This sixth grader appreciates the warmth of a gym on a cold winter night, but her heart is in the outdoors.
Up on the luge. Native of Maple Grove, Minnesota.
A YouTube clip made by Michaela's mom
Rivers. She's getting ready for her skeleton run.
shows off a daredevil spirit at a young age.
And she's off!
From the minute we moved here, she's loved sledding.
Michaela went to a training camp for young Olympic luge prospects with her new friend and fellow luger, Lucy.
You can't just hear advice that your instructors give you and say, no, I think I can do it better, because they know what they're doing. They're Olympians.
They spent 4 days with other kids learning the sport of luge and sledding at speeds of 40 miles per hour.
The first time down, yeah, that was a little scary because it was really fast and they hadn't really figured out how to steer that sled very well.
Down 18.
A tough experience for the moms watching, but not for the ones riding the sled.
It was incredible. It was exhilarating. They were announcing your whole run, but you couldn't hear the announcer because of the noise of going down the track.
For my first 4 runs, I would ping pong against the sides, and yeah, I thought that my sled was going to break, so surprisingly, they're very sturdy.
The girls could be asked back to Lake Placid to train a few times a year on the development team.
And it's really not an opportunity you pass up to go to Lake Placid and to go down the luge track.
Until then, coaches told the girls to stay active, which is what Michaela is doing with basketball. But given the chance, she'd be out sliding in a minute.
I would do that basically any day.
The girls both participated in the USA Luge Slider Search this past summer, held by USA Luge. To do that, they slid down an exit ramp in Minneapolis on a sled to see if it was a sport they wanted to pursue. They hope to hear if they made the developmental team sometime this spring, and we wish them the best of luck. Still ahead, if the cold has you down, we'll take you to a warmer climate in Weekend Showcase. But first, rivals Osseo and Maple Grove go head-to-head in boys swimming. Jason Malillo is in next.
Welcome back. I'm Jason Malillo with sports. We have some very strong gymnastics teams in the northwest suburbs again this winter. Maple Grove is having an outstanding season. They hosted Coon Rapids on Thursday night. This is Sasha Thompson on beam for Maple Grove. She hits the backflip and scores a 9.15 for the Crimson. Nadia Bede also has a good routine on beam for the Crimson, scoring a 9.25. On floor, Emma Ungard scores a 9.175 as the Crimson win the meet, scoring 143.65. They host Champlin Park next Thursday. In the Lake Conference, Wayzata finished as runner-up to Edina in conference dual meets. The Trojans met a much-improved Hopkins team on Thursday night. We'll start with the vault and Wayzata senior Lauren Osterberg. She scores a 9.225 on this vault and finishes second in the meet to teammate Grace Traynor. Hopkins' Kaija Pratt lands with the Royals as top scorer on vault. She scores an 8.6 for a Hopkins team that earlier this season recorded their best team score in 7 years. Grace Traynor is the defending state Class AA uneven bars champion. The junior scores a 9.55 to win the event. She was also the all-around title winner for the meet. Siboney Reglos has been good this season for the Royals. The all-arounder's best event on this night is the balance beam, where she scores a 9.45, Hopkins' best score. Izzy and Grace Traynor finished with the top scores in the meet on floor exercise. This is Izzy, who scores a 9.35 for this routine. Wayzata scores 141.325 to 133.8 for Hopkins, and the Trojans win the meet. In boys swimming, Maple Grove is having a very strong season, and they look to continue their momentum as they hosted rival Osseo in their final home dual meet. Great finish in the 200 medley relay as Maple Grove's Von Warlaba and Osseo's Sam Coles battle to the finish. Warlaba gutting out the win for the Crimson. 200 freestyle, Osseo's Koi Pham opens a big lead and wins easily with a time of 154.76. The 200 individual medley is another win for the Orioles as Will Honold clocks a time of 210.8. And in the 50 freestyle, Maple Grove's Garrett Rickles takes the sprint with a time of 25.04. Maple Grove stays unbeaten with a 95-75 victory. We'll have more on the Crimson early next week on CCX News. In girls hockey, Champlin Park-Coon Rapids is zeroing in on repeating as West Division champion in the Northwest Suburban Conference. They stepped out of league play to host Stillwater on Thursday night. We pick it up early in the first period as CPCR's Mackenzie Baker skates through the neutral zone, uses the D as a screen, and fires the shot home for a 1-0 Bluebirds lead just 4 minutes into the game. Second period, Anna Bezcala will pass out front to Haley Williams for the shot and goal as Champlin Park-Coon Rapids goes up to rip. Later in the period, with the score 2-1, a bad turnover by the Ponies leads directly to Delaney Johnson getting the puck and scoring for Champlin Park-Coon Rapids, and they lead 3-1. Less than a minute later, they get another. Baker passes to Molly Terabeza, who flips the puck past the Stillwater goalie, and it's 4-1 through 2 periods. The Bluebirds get the only goal of the third period when number 77, Haley Williams, gets credit for the rebound goal. 5-1 is the final. Champlin Park-Coon Rapids host Blaine on Tuesday. Also in girls hockey, Wayzata and Benilde-St. Margaret's are two of the strongest teams that will compete in the loaded Section AA tournament. The Trojans and Red Knights met up in Plymouth. It is tied at 1 until Benilde's Olivia Haig carries it up the left side and buries a shot. We give the Red Knights a 2-1 lead in the first. It's all Wayzata from there, though. Benilde turns it over. Emily Wisniewski's shot is tipped in by Gretchen Bratton, and the game is even at 2-2. Addie Hackley will fire from the point. It's knocked down, and Sloan Matthews sweeps the backhander in as Wayzata takes the lead for good at 3-2. Second period, and another great deflection as Matthew tips the Wisniewski shot in. The Trojans take a 4-2 lead. Even their near misses are entertaining in this game. Wisniewski beats the goalie, but it rings off the post and caroms back to Wisniewski for a second try, but she's stopped again, and it stays 5-2. It's a theme of the night with another tip-in goal as Sophie Urban does the honors this time. Wayzata skates to an impressive 7-2 win over Benilde-St. Margaret's. And that will do it for sports. Shannon?
Busy time. Thanks, Jason. Up next, an artist goes back to her roots. It's a new exhibit at North Hennepin Community College, and we'll take you inside after the break. Sometimes an artist's work shines the brightest when she goes back to her roots, and that's what you'll find in a new photographic art exhibit at North Hennepin Fine Arts Gallery. Neil Persley has that in today's Weekend Showcase.
Originally from India, Park-Coon Maheshwari is a graduate of North Hennepin Community College in their graphic design program.
Now this show happens to be a collection of photographs done over the years, and she's narrowed it down to just photographs from India, so it's my eye on India.
Park-Coon was going to be back in her home country of India during the show, so she teamed up with Laura Sargent, also an NHCC alum, and made a video to tell visitors more about herself and the photography you'll see.
I just love to processing the black and white film, and I can spend hours and hours in the darkroom, but now the computer is my darkroom.
We're looking at a lot of different stuff. The people, the old and young from India, the people you might meet in the streets.
Mostly I love water, and I love nature, and then I love old buildings.
We see a lot of antiquity, and then we also see images that relate to just everyday common events of cooking and bringing the animals through the streets, you know, which we don't see in Minnesota so much anymore.
The show is aptly titled Eye on India, and it is through Park-Coon's lens that we get a snapshot of India's beautiful terrain, ancient architecture, and the daily life of its people. For Weekend Showcase from North Hennepin Community College in Brooklyn Park, Neil Persley, CCX News.
Eye on India is on display at the North Hennepin Fine Arts Gallery through January 31st. And that's all the news we have for now. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here again tomorrow, starting at 4 o'clock.